But let's see. There's an update on the League of Legends MMORPG.
People have asked me to watch this. I'm now watching it.
They've asked me to.
This is an interview Necrit did with the Riot MMO guys. Or maybe Guy, I'm not sure. I'm excited. I'm going to see what he's got to say.
Isn't that world first?
On my game is coming out in the year 2035.
From the box. Oh, okay, fire.
I had a chance to talk to some of Riot's teams. And of course, one of those teams was Riot's MMO team. And while it was really awesome to talk to them, luckily we even had some time to do an interview. Unfortunately, the interview was recorded in one of their meeting rooms, which meant that it was very echoey. I mean,
Can we just like go one by one to like introduce yourselves?
Yeah. That's fine. Like, I don't give a fuck.
I'm VJ Tucker. I'm the EP of the MMO.
Fortunately, however, the world does have the technology to salvage the audio, and so the final result should be totally fine. Just know that it is not a studio quality. It is literally my laptop and a USB microphone in a square room. And of course, since it is hard to get some info on Riot's MMO, I tried to push them with the questions a little bit, just to see what we can learn. But I knew they wouldn't be able to talk about any specifics. So my questions had to be as broad as possible, but even so, I was still trying to walk on the edge. Sometimes you'll see the devs laughing about the fact that I am very close to the line, and 3 times it actually happened. I asked a question which had to be cut out, but the follow-up conversations were fine. So be ready for the fact that sometimes there will be some edits and cuts and it will break the pacing. But ultimately, I am pretty happy with what I was able to put together.
Okay.
And
it's pretty
honestly,
cool they interviewed him about
I had
this.
an absolute
They let him
blast
interview about
talking
this.
to these guys.
Can we just like go one by one to like introduce yourselves? Sure.
Look at what he wore to the fucking headquarters. There he is.
Look at his shoes.
Yeah, this is our main guy. Yeah, this
Look
is
at
the
his
main.
shoes.
This is the main dude. Yep, there we go. Gamer drip.
VJ Tucker. I'm the EP of the MMO.
I'm Mark Yenner. I'm the game design director for the project. With Greg Fallis, art director.
Nice.
I'm Ant Reynolds-Ladai. I'm a writer.
I can't wait to see this game, honestly.
I might have made an oopsie. Strong start. I released the video. Kind of started an avalanche of hype out of nowhere. How did you guys take this? Was it you know, how much damage have I caused on accident?
Not even close. We thought it was awesome. We immediately like shared it among the team. Like we watch it for inspiration as a reminder of like what player hype is for this game.
They're like, oh, let's watch this video about our game. Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah, that does sound cool. Maybe we should do that.
We should probably put that lore in the game.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Guaranteed, that's what it was.
More than anything, you raised the bar for us, which is awesome.
We love it, but we started to sweat a bit. You know?
Yeah.
So like up until that point, we're in like a safe space where like you know you were kind of like fine because you know like people knew it was happening, but no one really took it seriously.
So basically, Necrit made their life harder.
Have you actually taken any of the feedback you got so far into consideration? Like I don't know how many people really gave feedback. I mean, people did give feedback on the ML. Did you like take something into consideration already?
I just watched this at dinner last night. Did you?
I think that's one of the most important things that we can do is listen to our players along the way and figure out when we should respond and integrate it in and when we shouldn't. Right?
Listen to the player. But is there an alpha out for this or anything? What's player feedback? Is there an alpha or something? I didn't think there was. Or is this just player feedback in terms of like people excited for the MMO, so they're giving feedback on what they think should be in it.
Hard part of our jobs, but definitely ignoring.
I didn't think this thing was even an alpha yet.
So I think the hardest thing with making an MMO right now, is making an MMO that isn't just trying to do the same things that WoW did.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, what does the next generation of MMO really look like?
Yeah, not doing the same thing that all MMOs that WoW did, but still being somewhat familiar to WoW. I don't like these like big divergent, like, okay, take for example New World and its game style and its combat style. I don't really want that. I do want WoW style combat style, like that classic MMO. Give me the classes, give me the abilities. I want that in MMO. But maybe not exactly that. Just remade in a different lore setting with a different graphical setting. If
I don't
that
know
makes
what
any
it
sense.
is.
You know, talking like you know, factions, races, stuff like that, because you probably have to have
I'm
an
gonna head to
idea
bed.
and stick
My
to
bad
it,
Achilles
but
is
then you hear
killing me.
different opinions
killing
from other people. Is it like something that you also take into consideration, even though it might go against your basic idea? Roll these answer.
You go. Like, you hear, you know, every potential player wants something, and there's, you know, hopefully millions of them, and everyone wants something different. And so it's impossible for us to give every person what they want. But,
Sure.
you know, really often it's about, there's a lot of similar themes, right? And when we reduce it to the sort of core of like, what is the fantasy that people are looking for? What is the experience? We can then, you know, take that and say, what's the best version of that that we can deliver? And even better, we're not just going to give people what they say they want. We're going to try and figure out how we can over deliver. How can we get them to close their minds that like,
give us something we don't even know we want yet. 100%. That'd be amazing. I hope so.
Also, oh my God, that's exactly.
See, I think that's what they have to do, right? Is they have to think of a way to do something that is beyond just what the players have been asking for, if that makes sense. Like, just like how can you do something more than that's just like dungeons, raids, and like PvP?
What I wanted, you know, that's the dream.
It's super important. Not just giving people what they expect to, just like
WoW did 20 years ago,
and this as well, and this.
Give people what they need, not what they want.
We're trying to do is like ultimately like we're in service of trying to realize the dreams of our players, but that's not always exactly what they're asking for. Sometimes it is about extracting the essence. It's like, what is the magic that you're seeing that we haven't seen yet, and how do we create it? And ultimately, I personally think that's Riot's superpower, especially like with League. We see it with Valorant. We see it with our games, how we can respond to players. And the one thing we definitely can't do is dump our head in the sand until we're shit.
Yeah, and hopefully you get a little taste of that with, you know,
That's like another issue that like a developer like Riot has that's like making a game for 8 years is that whenever you start the game and the development, the entire like you think about 8 years ago, battle royales were just starting to anyway,
his camera was frozen. I was saying, what the fuck happened there?
Something that is that's completely new.
Yeah.
How do you invent a new way to play a game that people didn't know what they were looking for?
They didn't know they wanted it.
Or know that they were looking for it.
Yep.
And I think that becomes so much harder whenever you're developing a game 8 years down the road. How do you do that?
True.
Weren't you at the HQ? Did you give you well, no, I talked to them a bit about this. I mean, I was under NDA, right? So, you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he went to the League of Legends.
I talked to him a bit about this because I was there like a week before he was. I'll be right back.
Which, by the way, I saw some things. Literally, if I turn the camera like a little few inches, I'm gonna get nuked. Don't do it. So, one thing that's a big topic that I don't know if you can answer is, you know, the big old talk about like factions and races, more specifically like separating the player base, because there are some MMOs who give you the freedom of like, you know, you can play with anyone, you can, you know, there are no barriers.
Right.
And then there are others who actually like
factions only work if there is a massive player base. Like, you know, talk about WoW's player base and Wrath and even Cataclysm up until then, maybe Mist. That's when it's okay. Once your player base shrinks too much, factions are a detriment to the game. Hence why they really have been eliminated in WoW, because we just don't have the player base to sustain them. But in a perfect world, I like factions. If there's enough players in the game, I prefer to have them.
Split the community very specifically into like, you know,
it's better for the lore.
What's your like very vague general idea?
I don't think factions should ever be a barrier to gameplay. Like they tried it with WoW, it didn't work.
It worked until population was too small, and then it became a barrier.
So there's this perfect saying I saw in one of the, you know, a developer doc from one of the Zelda developers, which is, you know, you can't just deliver exactly perfect realism or whatever. You're trying to shape something that feels real, feels believable, but is like actually making the thing you want.
Thank fucking God he says that. I hate it whenever people are like, oh, but it's realistic. Yeah, but it sucks to play, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
He's right.
Yes.
And so like there are things that we want. We don't want, you know, me and my best friend, we don't want people not to be able to play with each other. Obviously, that's like a bad, that's a problem. But we also want to, you know, maybe capture the spirit and the kind of, you know, one of the iconic elements of the League of Legends IP, where you've got this complex, you know, factions, and there's, you know, there's a lot of shades of gray, and there's a lot of interesting conflict, and there's a lot of, you know, kind of ways that you
shades of gray. I just think I get scared. Like when I hear from now on the color gray is related to Sylvanas, when they kept saying she was morally gray in Shadowlands. So I excuse my PTSD for a second there.
Relate to different elements of it. And so
well, Laura, been on the same team forever, even with the player base. I think content has to reflect it for it to matter. It actually used to feel like we were at war with the totally. I totally agree, Real. And unique interactions and all that is gone. I agree. Yeah. No, when you first started playing WoW, and there were the factions and all the quest lines and everything related to the battle between the Horde and Alliance, and it felt that way. And you felt like there was an ongoing war. Not so much anymore.
Or in the thematic or in the IP, and find a combination of them that works. Yep.
Those things. Okay, so that answer is that they don't know. Or they're not going to say. That makes sense. So I kind of think that they shouldn't. I think they should have faction-based PvP. I think that would be really cool. But I don't think that there should be any barriers in PvE. And I think that there could be like a good way of doing it is like opt-in open world PvP areas. I think that's the cool thing. Sure. But also, like, this is the issue, is like everything that I'm talking about are all ideas that people have already done.
Yeah.
And like there will be a solution to this in probably 10 or 20 years that will be better than what we're thinking of right now. We just don't even know what it is.
Yeah, I guess. Like the conflicts that are already there and the rivalries and stuff. You want to play that through. You want to see that. But you also don't want to like lock people into like one side, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's really our job.
Not confirming anything.
That's a perfect example because
lock
there's like
people. You don't want to lock people to one side.
Like 100 of these problems.
I think they just hinted at faction swapping, like in game, changing teams, which would mean probably races wouldn't be locked to certain factions. I think that's what they just tried to. Hey Sam, hope you're doing well. What's going on? Yeah, we're just not much. The raid kind of halted up, so we're just watching something about the new League of Legends MMORPG. These are the developers. This is an interview being done with them.
Day, right? There's just always so many things.
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
But it's like you just try to take the pieces together.
Yeah, sure.
Find a way to make it work, and you know when we do well, you see the result, and you're like, oh yeah, that's great. You know, I'm getting what I want, and you know, and the game is good, and you know, it's fun to play, or something like that.
The general talk is always about like you know when classic WoW came out. That one ignited the passion for like the very old school MMOs.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting how when classic WoW came out, it like once again became the king of MMOs, and like everyone suddenly realized that like.
Does anyone have those numbers? Like, is classic WoW the king of MMO? Like, are there more people playing classic WoW than retail or any other MMO at this point? Is that true, or do people just assume that because of Twitch numbers or something? Because I haven't seen... Blizzard doesn't release numbers. I haven't seen any numbers that indicate that. I'm sure Blizzard internally has those numbers, but I haven't seen them.
That game
I don't think anyone has.
You know, the other MMOs weren't really enough to, like, you know, maybe give the MMO genre actually more value.
I think the problem with, like, so many MMOs is that so many MMOs try to be a better version of World of Warcraft.
Yeah. Classic is ranked
so like
6
their
out of
framework is always
tracked
just
MMOs in terms of
contextualized around
server
WoW
and player population.
And I think that's such a huge problem.
Yeah. So what I got from this generalized
aggregated server and player population. Where the fuck are those numbers coming from?
Yeah, you know. It's like you're trying to make
those
like
are Blizzard servers.
Like
how would you get those numbers?
While innovating in some
Google.
I think it's really important that we look at what is working.
I know the search algorithm
also
stuff that people use to track how popular an MMO is.
Look at where WoW started, like classic MMO. I think all of us played many hours of classic WoW, and then you look at how the genre evolved over the course of post-classic WoW era.
Yeah.
They were all chasing WoW. And so they're all looking at one specific thing and trying to make a better version of that thing.
Yeah.
And now
what a smart dude! This guy really knows what he's talking about. I'll tell you that. This guy is smart.
He does.
Completely fucking agree.
Trying to do is trying to say like, okay, what went right?
What happened? Why is the fucking video buffing? My internet okay?
That period.
That's fine.
And what has changed in the games industry and our players and our players' expectations up until that point? And look at both of those lenses and craft something that feels like it's the right evolution of it. So I think ultimately many people in the industry are seeing similar things, and so we're actually hoping that we can learn from some of the other games that launch in the meantime. But
that is one of the good things. Is like now people are trying different stuff besides just WoW.
True.
I think it's going to have some changes and evolutions to that formula without completely throwing it out just for the sake.
In reference to classic WoW.
Just personal take. I actually love the idea that the game has dedicated servers, because one thing that happened in WoW later on is at the moment they gave us like random matchmaking and stuff like that. That was a breaking point where if you are an asshole on a server, it didn't matter. There were never
It never mattered. Okay, like if you did enough damage, you had enough gear. It didn't matter how much of a dickhead you were. People still play with you.
Nothing really happened to you. But if you are on a dedicated server and you behave badly, people know it about you, and
if you're a dick and your gear is low and you suck, you're not going to get an invite. But if you're a dick and you're good, you're going to get an invite.
Kind of like forms a really cool community, but it's kind of interesting that these days, I don't think there is a single MMO that actually has this whole structure.
Yeah.
New World has it. New World has that structure. You're not able to play with people from other servers at all, and it's a bad thing. I think servers
because their servers don't have enough population.
They are an antiquated idea based off of servers are a tech.
If you could have an MMO where everybody who plays the MMO plays in the same world, of course that's the obvious like greatest scenario. But I don't think technology's there yet.
Technological limitation.
Play healer or tank.
There is no functional reason that a server would improve the experience of the player. I have never seen like an instance where it is better that there are servers than just like one big game. I am very much a one server, one world kind of guy.
Oh yeah, I wish that was possible.
That's the thing. I think Mark nailed it early on when we were talking about trade-offs. This is
a
like
mega server enjoyer.
You can build games in different approaches, but they have really different trade-offs about
everybody's on the same one
and the sense of community that gets created. But then when you start to commoditize human interactions and like you're the same as any other bot that's walking by me, then you lose a lot of that. Mega server also has some risk and approaches. We actually have an engineer that worked on Guild Wars 2.
No, they should not go with dedicated servers. Like that's such a mistake. Because if they do that, what if a server dies? Now everybody that's stuck on the server that hasn't quit wants to quit more.
It all goes. Look, a lot of this goes back to player population. That's what a massive multiplayer. Okay. You can have a massive world, but if you don't got the multiplayer, if you don't got multiple players on it, it's going to be fucking shitty. Like I said about factions, same take. Factions don't work without a lot of players. Servers don't work without a lot of players. Nothing works in an MMO without a lot of players. It's very much population based.
Like, and then people get FOMO because you have to have server transfers if you have servers, right? Because it's like you can't lock somebody to a server. What if the server does die? What if, their friends quit playing or something like that? You have to have that. You merge, but like now you have like a separate issue, and like now you have name problems, and it's like everything else. Like merging servers is like another problem.
You have to start with one server.
I think really just making it to where everybody can play with each other is the best idea. That's what I think.
Don't even ask Tan, man. I don't know. Nobody's playing because of patch day.
One big server with multiple channels.
Lots of risks in that space. And the one thing that we definitely don't want to do is try and solve these solutions for absolutely everybody. We do want to have opinionated takes that have some trade-offs, but a lot of that essence of community and people feeling important and actually having these interactions matter with other people, those are values that we're excited to chase.
Now, I'm not going to go into like races and classes. I think that's a very much dead end that we can't really talk about. But when it comes to the world, you probably did take into consideration the scale of the world and like how you're going to approach it.
Big world. Big world. We want a big world.
Segmenting the world and kind of like play the safe route where you have a lot of open spaces, or are you ready to like round up like a piece of the content and like ship it in its entirety? You don't even have a question. You can talk about it all.
Well,
Basically, what's your approach to like
before they answer, if they answer, it kind of leads into what their expansions would look like, which is why they're probably all laughing like, should we say anything or not? Because if they're only giving you a piece of the continent, it's very obvious that the next piece comes with the next expansion or something. So we'll see. Well, we'll see what they say.
The world.
No AOTC slort.
Ultimately,
no.
One of the most
I guess not until we
for
finish
us
the
is
mega
to
dungeon.
realize the world of Runeterra that exists in our players' hearts. We are those people. Like we want to be in the world and we want to see it and we want to experience it.
Sure.
The path for this MMO in the long term will have that full world of Runeterra realized. So
there it is.
It's just a question of how we get there.
He just said it. He said the path to the whole world. We want to realize it. Yeah, he's talking about eventually, which means we're going to get sections of the world and expansions. That makes sense, though. I think that's the right way to do it.
What the steps are, whether we start small, whether we start broad. We have some takes.
But hopefully, the starting world is
going
to be
massive.
massive.
We have our North Star of like that full version of Runeterra, and we know we're going to get there. So it's just a question of the steps
after a couple of expansions.
I have two more questions. One is when it comes to Riot, they always have like a very specific, almost specific artistic style, where it's like very stylized, very cartoony, but not exactly cartoony. Is it like some?
This guy's the art director, so let's see what he says.
That you want to stick to in general, do like very style rather than realistic. Is like the classic stylized style on the table for the MMO.
Hopefully I can say it's used.
I don't know what you're gonna say.
So we will be familiar, but something unique.
All right. Thank God. Okay, good. Cool. Yeah, that's what they should do. Like I think having, because if you look at the Riot Riot cinematics, where's the cinematic where
they're very cartoonish.
Fucking Leonidas fights Athena? The Call. I think this is fucking great. Like it's not
very
super
cool.
realistic, but it is realistic.
Yeah, I totally agree with him. This art style is very cool. They also have their entire Netflix series, which is more like comic book-esque art style, and he's saying it's going to be like a lot of the stuff you've seen, but unique, which is cool. They're not going for hyper realism, I would say.
This is fucking phenomenal. Just do this,
Leona, my beloved. This is a badass cinematic.
This is perfect. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stylized to an extent, but for the most part, it's pretty much realistic. I think that's the best way to do it. I hope they go with this style.
This is a place where it's a big damn shame that you can't see the stuff that he's working on, because it's so good.
Last question that I think we can talk about is how did this project start? Because usually at Riot, all the big things start as passion projects, be it, Game Modes on League, EFT, really, Legends of Runeterra. Well, it's all like passion projects. How did the MMO project start?
I think the fairest way to say it is that massive parts of this company have been dreaming of making this game for our players for a long time.
Well, I think it makes sense, right?
They're all WoW players.
League of Legends is derivative of Dota, which is derivative of Warcraft 3, which turned into World of Warcraft. I feel like if you look at it in like a Venn diagram of like Riot players and people that work here and like MMO enjoyers, like you're gonna have a really big overlap.
Yeah, and if you love playing MMOs, you're gonna want to make one. It would be your dream, obviously.
Meryl trolled the world by asking whether an MMO should exist. The reason I came to Riot 7 years ago was to make an MMO. I would say different versions of like this space, what we've been thinking about and moving it forward, have existed in all of our hearts for a very long time. And eventually, I know. And honestly,
this one for sure.
We just all started to get
I'd
a bunch
love to
of
voice
those
act in one. That would be cool.
Now is the time. We've got to go make that investment. And obviously, I can't tell you any dates or people, but it's been something that I think all of us have been chasing for a really long time.
And players have just been asking for it.
Well, I think that's what people want. Is like people want a game that is an MMO, and I think that's why like a lot of think about it, right? A lot of these like isekai like anime like stories, they're all based off of MMOs. Like a lot of the really popular ones are all MMOs. People want that experience.
Yeah. I personally think there's no more rewarding gaming experience than playing an MMO. Like, finishing, playing Fortnite and winning a battle royale game, that's cool for a minute, right? But then you start over and you're back to the beginning, and everyone else is starting. You're 100 players again, and you're going to grind through it and see if you can do it again. But an MMO is just continually rewarding. There is people are social organisms, okay? We are social to our core. We like being social. Even if you're antisocial, you don't know it, you like being social a little bit. And MMOs give you that balance of constant dopamine hits and then a little bit of social-gasm going on too. It's the best balance. It's the best type of game. It's just a very hard game to make right.
Just not getting it.
I'm just like, gotta listen to that.
If Mag does a voice actor, I agree. Mag should be one of the voices.
Yeah. One of the things I really do appreciate, though, like transparently speaking, is that the thing that we know about Riot, like one of the top line values, is we're not going to ship something that's perfectly fine. And so it took us a little while to get to the point where we're willing to start the project, but it was waiting until we're like, okay, now we have enough with the work on lore. We have enough in terms of the right
they have
people.
plenty of
like,
lore.
Now is the time to finally make this and do it right.
Check out
that was the thing
Edgegrove's
that
channel.
held off, is that we're like, company wasn't at the right place, the people weren't at the right place, the MP wasn't at the right place.
Yeah, sure.
Once we get all of those, Meryl's like, we need to do this thing. The thing that is most...
Well, that's like another big thing, right? Is like you think about League like 5 years ago or something like that, and like they had a world, but like ever since then they've made like these other games that flesh out the world. They have Arcane. They have...
Yeah, Arcane is their Netflix series. Yeah, oh yeah, Conda, you beat me to it. I was just going to link it. You want to know more about, what's it called? Lore? In terms of League of Legends and what's going to be in the MMORPG? Yeah. Check out Antgrove's channel.
Of
Lore
like all these other secondary games that are kind of in the same universe. And I think that all of those games, like this is kind of what happened with WoW. Is like WoW had already built up this massive world over the years with all the Warcraft games. So like whenever they made
it's very much, the League of Legends MMO is very much following the blueprint of WoW. Like exactly what Asmon's saying is that they built up a fan base and a lore base in other styles of games, and now they're going to finally convert it into what everybody really wants, and that's an MMO.
MMO, you pretty much knew what to expect. You knew where you were going to go. You knew what was going to happen.
True.
It was just, how is it going to look? And I think Riot is at that place right now with their world, too.
Important to us, really, is that
I think Arcane was the catalyst. You're right.
That is worthy of our players and the dreams that they have. And then it's okay that it takes a while.
Right.
That's the biggest risk, is that we're like, hey, we're doing this thing, and people are like, it's been 6 months, why haven't you shipped the thing yet? And it's like, well, I don't know.
I don't know when they're going to put a date on this thing, but it's going to be
We're in service of trying to make the best thing for you, and sometimes a little fire under our asses to get it out the door isn't a bad thing.
No pressure, but the Riot MMO right now is probably the most anticipated one in the market, right?
Absolutely, it's the most anticipated because of the MMO paradox I've talked about. The less you know about a game, the more excited you are.
Yeah.
And as time goes on and you learned more about the game, well, now you're less excited. That's just how it is. Yes.
Kind of fall into that.
If you don't know anything about the game, bro, you can be so hyped up about it. And if you only
it's also though because of what we just talked about. It's Riot. They've already built out the lore. There's games that are very successful about the same world that people want to explore in an MMO scene. It's the first one out of all these MMOs we've seen since WoW that I feel like has done this. New World was non-existent before the MMO came out. What other MMO? I mean, World Star, whatever the fuck it was called, and not World. I don't forget what the shit it was called. I mean, I guess you can say the Star Wars, Old Republics, and all that. Those, yeah, sure, those worlds were already fleshed out, and then they became MMOs. Lord of the Rings, same thing. But this is the most comparable to a WoW storyline, where they have other games. It's a game company that's made other games. This world was born through gaming, and now can be converted over to an MMO. WildStar, yeah, that's what it was called. Yeah, WorldStar.
Have like a 3-second trailer. It's going to be so good. But once you actually see the gameplay, you look at the system, it's like, yeah, it'll be all right. Maybe I'll play it whenever it comes out.
No pressure.
Yeah, the mystique.
Ashes of Creation, that world didn't exist before this MMO comes out.
We've got the people who are at least going to rise to the challenge and fucking fight that fight.
I mean, you also said many times that the team is really stacked.
Yeah.
Like, you probably have veterans to... Like, I don't know what teams you really, like, all of you were, though. I assume it was a lot.
It's incredible.
It's really... Where are you guys?
Can you actually, like, say all of you, like what
What we worked on?
Yeah.
Let's see. What did you? Star Wars Galaxies, an unannounced MMO inside of Ensemble.
Oh, people like Star Wars Galaxies. I never played that one.
Damn.
Age of Empires 3, Halo Wars,
Age of
Orcs
Empires
Must Die,
3.
Hero Academy, Words with Friends.
Okay.
Hey, he's played some. He's been
An
part of some good
unannounced
games.
MMO prototype inside of Riot a long time ago, Wild Rift, and then now this.
Obviously, I'm not this big, but like, I mean, I worked on. Yeah, no kidding.
That's a time for flex, Scott.
Yeah, exactly. Let him flex. Like, it's good. I mean, I worked on League of Legends for like almost a decade. I worked on Call of Duty before that, and a bunch of, smaller.
I mean, early 2010s. If that's the time frame, early 2010s Call of Duty was pretty good.
Kind of AA games for a while before.
But it can't be understated how important it is to have people who like know everything about the history of our
When
players.
COD was good.
and
Yeah, that was
IP.
whenever COD was
Like,
good.
That's massive. In many ways, more important than like a bunch of different bands.
Yeah, Modern Warfare 2. People loved it.
Oh God, many years, many different things.
Yeah, it's so many.
Legends of Runeterra. Let's see, Sims. I've worked on the Sims for many years.
Sims.
The Sims. Oh boy, this game is really going to be something, huh?
Gonna have player housing. That's it.
This is the
Confirmed.
art director. Oh boy.
Some other MMOs, some old ones, like one that eventually got out, Gods and Heroes, back in the day. And yeah, and like a number of small
Gods of Heroes. I thought he was gonna say City of Heroes. You guys remember that one? If you ever played it,
I've been here for 9 years.
I almost played that
I was working
MMO.
freelance for quite a lot of years, writing books and doing things like that, doing some world building here and there for different games. And then most of my background before that comes from like tabletop. So like I worked at Games Workshop, so I was a games designer and a writer and
Oh,
an
nice.
art
This
manager.
guy's the story writer, I
Over
think.
there
So
and
that's
working
cool
on,
that
like,
he's on a lot of tabletop
AutoCAD,
games.
That kind of stuff. That was my sort of kickstart into the industry, really.
Oh shit.
One of the things that I
Cool.
love most about this team, other than the fact that
All
they're
right.
huge dreamers and like
All
have
right.
massive ambitions, is that everybody has had their story in the games industry, which means nobody has the chip on their shoulder.
That's nuts.
Everybody is like, whatever is the right thing to do for the game, whatever is the right thing to do for players. There's not conversations about ego or identity or my idea or your idea. It's just like, how do we make the best thing? And that is the most refreshing thing I've ever experienced on a game team. I'm surrounded by people smarter than me, and that's just like the best. So cool. Which is good, because this challenge is huge.
Oh yeah. You can't get.
Some
You
corporate speak
honestly
right there.
can't go bigger than MMO.
Yeah.
Like that's actually just the biggest genre.
It
You
is.
got to think in mind, like
It's the biggest.
what people want. Whenever people talk about the metaverse, they're basically talking about an MMO.
100%.
Like really, that's pretty much what it is.
Yes. Yes.
And
Which is why I think Amazon has already made New World. They're trying to make, from what I heard, a Lord of the Rings MMO now. Microsoft is very interested in purchasing Activision Blizzard. And trust me, one of the things they're most interested in is World of Warcraft. All these big companies want to get into the MMO space for a reason. Because they see this metaverse future. It's just an MMO. That's what a metaverse is. It's just a fucking MMO. So all of them want a piece of the MMO genre. And that's why I feel like we've seen a revitalization of MMOs. Because there was a time where really MMOs weren't coming out anymore. Nobody was undertaking them because they are a massive undertaking.
And it's like
you got Amazon
fucking
making two of them
Facebook
at once.
couldn't figure that shit out.
You can probably tackle. And so we put on like one of the IPs that has the most expectations.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah.
like no pressure.
It's literally the Harvest Travel.
It really is.
Let's go.
All right. Well, that was a really awesome interview where we did actually get some answers. We had it's trying not to get fired. More than I expected. So I really do appreciate all of you. And I'm gonna do some funny editing, and I'm just gonna cut it off so you can just say goodbye.
Bye.
Great editing. Incredible. Wow. I think that went pretty well.
Yeah, that was
Overall,
good.
Yeah, I think that went well. I mean, that's about as much information as I had expected to get out of them. And I think that's good.
Right.
Not a single word on how the game's going to be. We still know nothing. That's
Intentionally
right. Keep
so.
the hype up.
Yeah.
And I think that's smart. Yeah, they have no idea what it's going to be. I don't even think that they know.
I agree.
Because, like,
They
again,
probably
you're
don't.
trying to think of something that's like never been thought of before. Like how do you do something that's like never even been considered?
Why would they announce themselves into a corner? There's no reason to make any preemptive announcements. The hype is already there. They don't have to announce things to build hype. There is already hype, and the hype will remain. They are only going to announce things when they know for sure that is the direction they are taking.
I think that's really where their challenge is. How do they do something that's not just another version of WoW? Team seems to be really into it. Good vibes. Yeah, the guys there, like, it seems like everything was positive, everything like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's some sense of genuine talk coming from the team. Yeah, and, like, what a great team they have. The art director comes from The Sims. There's a guy that did fucking lore for Warhammer 40K. There's, like, another dude that worked on Star Wars Galaxies. I mean, this is quite an interesting lineup.
Yeah.
They have to start on the creative side and how to create tech to support it. Yeah. The next step has to be full dive virtual. I mean, I think that's going to be the next MMO that's like super transcendent to the way that it's a cultural phenomenon on the same level that Warcraft or Fortnite was. It will have to be I think it will have to be like a VR or Neuralink game. Because it's just like,
maybe, yeah.
There's nothing that's going to deliver immersion beyond what we've already had so far.
True, yeah. Even if the graphics are great, he is right. Even if you up the graphics and everything else, that level of exploring a new world and that whole vanilla WoW feeling that we all say we can never have again, it's because WoW was the first one to really do that on that scale and that level. No loading screens, big open world. That shit didn't exist before. And then World of Warcraft brought it. And it shook everything up. And it has been the standard ever since. Now, yeah, I guess the next big step would be something like a VR or, yeah, like you said, Neuralink.
Now, I could be wrong. And it could be something with like AI or something like that. But like,
maybe
it has to be something that is beyond what people have the capabilities for right now. And I think that's probably what they're brainstorming every day is like, what the fuck even is that? Because I have no idea what that's going to be. You're wrong. VR sucks. You're right.
VR does suck.
And that's the problem. VR does suck.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Do you think Neuralink games will happen in our lifetime? Yes. I think they'll happen sooner than you might expect. Like, I think this video is fucking insane, too. Like, I'm amazed that Necrit actually got an interview to talk about the Riot MMO.
That is pretty cool. This guy's just a YouTuber who talks about it.
I'm going to link it to you guys right now. Make sure to give it a like. Necrit also has done, like, videos about the Riot MMO, and he did a Genshin review as well. Make sure to give him a sub and give the video a like. This was a really good one.
He's a cool guy.
And I hope to see more
Grove is better, but
like
he's a cool
this.
guy.
This is awesome. And it's really great to see that they're like willing to talk about it at all, too.
Necrit is the noble for League lore. He is. Well, Entgrove is the noble. I would say Necrit is the Bellular.